Welcome to You Are Your Name. This is Daken Ariel, your host. Today we have a special guest, Jollean Hennigan, who's joined us to discuss how she's used cycle charts in her life. Thanks for joining us, Jollean.
Thank you for having me.
How long have you used cycle charts?
I started being more aware of the cycles when I was in my mid-20s. So that would be about almost 50 years I've used cycles.
Can you give us a few examples of how you've used it?
Whenever I had to go and look for a new job, I would choose good cycles to go to the placement agency and good cycles to schedule appointments. If they gave me possible employers, I would choose good cycle days to go for interviews. If they called me when I was not in a good cycle with an opportunity, I would disregard it. And that was my method of using the cycles. I never did follow up on opportunities that came up in what they call an adverse cycle day, which would be wherever the 4 is, you will see it in your cycle chart.
That's an interesting aspect to cycles. The idea of when not to do something when it comes to an adverse day is just as important. You save so much wasted effort.
Yes, and my husband and I have both been very conscientious about that. So whenever an opportunity comes up in a 4-day, 4-month, 4-cycle year, it might look good, but we don't follow up on it. It saves you wasting a lot of time in your life and a lot of grief.
One way to look at that is that even though the idea might be good for somebody, it's not good for you because it came to you in an adverse time. So that way you're filtering out things that are going to, as you say, waste time.
That's right. So your own personal cycle determines what you should follow up on and what you shouldn't. It might be a good opportunity for someone else at a different time, but for you, if it's come up in a cycle where you are advised against it, listen to it. Listen to that advice and don't waste time.
How did you prove the cycles to yourself?
Well, when I first started working, I was very young. I graduated high school when I was 17, and because my mom was raising me on my own, I was wanting to get out and make some money. So I was in a 4-cycle year. So I did not have happy experiences for a long time. I think I even probably started in July, which is the 4/8 month of the 4-cycle year. It is still an adverse month. Well, adverse, it has a purpose, the 4-cycle, but it's not a time to start things. And it really showed in the different things that came up for several years because I started my working career in a 4-cycle year.
Sometimes you have to get a job in a 4-year, maybe you lose a job, but the approach would be to think of it as a short-term thing, where in the 5-year you reseed.
That's right. So what I should have done is take a gap year that year, or I should have taken some time off or had some more college, which I did later. Anyway, it was a rush to work and it just didn't work out. It was a long time before I was able to establish balance in my working career.
I assume you started a new job in a better cycle.
Eventually. Another example, I remember buying this beautiful camel hair coat in a 4-cycle day. It was beautiful. I loved it and I bought it. And it lasted about a month. I went out for lunch with someone and inadvertently left it in a cloakroom. And I went back the next day and it was gone. So it was a vivid example of even smallish things. Don't buy them unless you absolutely have to. If you have to get a car for your work or you have to get a job, well, then you know that it's just a temporary measure.
One of the examples we have on the FAQ is that if you're on the highway in a 4-day and you've got a flat tire, you're not going to wait till your 5-cycle to change it. You do what you need to do, but then think in terms of the 9-year pattern. Now, you had an interesting experience with sailing down the west coast of North America to Mexico and then over to Hawaii. How did you use your cycles in that?
So we went offshore in our catamaran sailboat for 2 years. And so we had lots of sailing experience before that, of course. You wouldn't do it without it. But we both left the dock in a good cycle month, good cycle year. We're in different cycles, but we chose good cycles to leave. We got going down the west coast of North America into the States. It was all new anchorages, new marinas, and there's not a lot of anchorages on the west coast of the United States. And in fact, it's barren of anchorages. So whenever we went into a new bay where we would be anchoring, if we could choose, like sometimes you're going down the coast and you're sailing and you don't have a choice. You have to tuck into a harbor before nightfall so that you can find a viable anchorage while you can see. You can see the reefs and all the rest of it. So you don't have a choice, but you're just very, very careful. But if we could choose, which we did whenever we went into a marina or picked up a mooring buoy, we weren't in a 4-cycle day. Because if we were in a 4-cycle day and we went ashore looking for help, where is the laundromat? Where is the water? Where are the grocery stores? We would find obstacles. And the marina wouldn't have a place for us, or they'd want us to change right away, or we'd have really noisy neighbors or dangerous neighbors. Or you can have someone who is not set properly next to you. You can go in and anchor, and somebody anchors too close to you, and they haven't set their anchor right. And you come back to your boat, and somebody's banged into it. So we were very serious about that. And we left anchorages in good cycle days, and we arrived in marinas or anchorages in good cycle days if we could choose. You can always choose with a marina because you can go to an anchorage instead of the marina. But if we were going to an anchorage, sometimes we would not be in a good cycle day, but we would just be then very, very aware. And one of us was always on the boat to watch.
That's a long time, 2 years on the water. I think you put it on the hard and extend your boat a couple of feet while you were in Mexico, didn't you?
We did. We extended it 4 feet when we were in Guaymas in the Sea of Cortez. So that was also good cycle. We contact the marina in good cycle day. We arrange for a spot. We arrange for a haul out. We know we're going to be gone for the hot months of the year in Mexico. We did our work before then. Whenever we had to get supplies, we went on good cycle days. And so our boat was basically left in the hands of the marina for 2 months. It was a situation of trusting the owner of the marina that everything would be safe, and it was.
So you've used the cycles pretty well your whole adult life. Is there anything you would want to share with the audience relative to using a cycle chart?
I think it's very important to start every day with reading your cycle advice, because this is the mathematical principle. It's a universal principle. It is the power of life flowing through you. And we have to align ourselves with it. And if we read that cycle chart, it's written from a universal perspective. It is very clear, very practical, lots of practical advice on how to approach situations in different cycle days. And it'll tell you what your emotional inclination is for the day, but what you have to choose to do instead. For instance, you might be feeling very impatient, and you might be feeling a little sharp in your expression. So the cycle chart will actually advise you to watch your expression. So it gives you a conscious thought to govern your day, and you can actually use that thought. You're just on the verge of telling someone off or being too blunt in expression, which would cause problems, of course. You're just more aware of it. Also, it gives you advice about how to maximize the day. So, for instance, get out in nature more, do some quiet reflection and writing or thinking, and find time alone. And you'll find if you find that time alone, you feel more peaceful and more powerful, and you're more connected with your own true inner nature, and things unfold properly the way they should, the way they're meant to unfold in our lives.
Good advice. Now, we've recently converted the physical cycle charts to a cycle chart app. Do you have any comments on the app?
You have to get used to how to use it. So read the tutorial first, check and make sure you're on the correct date when you read it, because sometimes it might be on the wrong date. So make sure you're on the right date. I find it very valuable information. I tap on the month, do a quick review of the month again, and then tap on the day. And when I'm out, I have my phone with me so I can have a little read of it again and remind myself, well, yeah, I got to do this today, and watch out for that. And there's a section at the bottom of the day where it says more. and you can read a little bit more of that day, and it gives you more information of what you can accomplish that day and what the day is meant for. So, like earlier, I said an adverse cycle. That doesn't mean to say it's a bad cycle. It has a purpose to look after details, be content looking after details, finishing the things you start, approaching things in a methodical, systematic way. But don't start new things. Don't buy that coat. Don't enter an anchorage. Don't enter into a contract with someone, whether it's marriage or buying something, that's a contract, or a business contract. Don't even think about it. And don't fool yourself to think, well, it comes up in a 4-day, and so you wait until the next day to do it. It's not going to work. That plant has been planted. As soon as it's in your mind, it's planted. So you don't want that particular seed to grow. It's not going to be a good seed.
Right. It's almost like you're trying to cheat the cycles by saying, well, I'm going to do this in a good cycle day, even though it came in an adverse time. So it doesn't work out. So the advice is to having an understanding of the overall 9-year pattern. And that same 9-year pattern can be applied to the months. So if you're in a 1 month, there's that urge for action, and that's the right thing to do. And then it can be applied to even the days. So 1 day is a good day for starting. So just being aware of that pattern and applying it. Everyone's going to test it in their own way. Invariably, all of us who've started studying cycles will say, well, I'm going to do it anyways. And then we find out the hard way, but that's part of learning.
There's a lot more depth in the cycles than we realize. Sit quietly, read that cycle information, and try to connect with it and let it resonate with you and think about it. Don't just read it quickly. Think about it and respect the advice based on the universal principle of mathematics working through time.
Thank you for your thoughts, Jollean. Appreciate it.
Okay, have a good day.
Remember, you can test the Cyclic Law for free without any obligation. All you have to do is download the Cycle Chart app from either the Android store or the Apple store. Just search for the term Cycle Chart, CYCLE, and the word chart. There'll be a link to it in the show notes as well. Once you install the app, you can set up the free account. The key information that you give it is your month and date of birth, and it will populate the app with your personal cycle. So then you can explore your cycle year, your cycle months, and your cycle days. We'll see you next week. Until then, happy thoughts.